Welcome to Real Authority. Today I'm talking about How to Train Your Dragon, the live-action remake of DreamWorks' animation classic from 15 years ago and a brand new adaptation of the novel. Mason Thames plays Hiccup, a young boy aspiring to be a Viking. He finds the opportunity to prove himself by shooting down a Nightwing, but as it turns out, this dragon, Toothless, may not be as it seems, and they soon forge a friendship that can change the fate of Burke. Before getting into it, the preceding trilogy is perfect, pretty much great. I mean, I think the only one that has some issues that aren't nitpicks is 2, but outside of that, this is one of the most iconic animated trilogies in recent memory. Okay, enough with the sugarcoating. I don't know why live action remakes are as popular as they are. Let me just get into it real quick. Listen, there are some enjoyable live action remakes out there, but there haven't been any that have even come close to the original. I guess Disney has pretty much dried the well of live action remakes to the point where we're all exhausted and we are all sick and tired of it because most of them don't even reach their predecessors' heights. So going into How to Train Your Dragon, I went in with those expectations, and even when I saw its first trailer right before Wicked, I was like, this movie actually exists? Really? This feels unreal in a very bad way. But something very strange happened that was actually to this movie's benefit. The CinemaCon reactions, because they were like, wait, this is actually good, guys. What? Now, of course, early reactions are nothing to write home about. Sometimes early reactions can mislead people. I feel that's definitely the case with live action remakes. Sometimes, like, they were praising Snow White, praising Lilo and Stitch. Granted, although I may not have liked the other people left, pleasantly surprised. And in the past few days, I gotta be honest, I started getting my expectations high, but not to the point where I was expecting anything amazing. Like, I did an IMAX double feature with this and Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning for the second time. Imperfect, but the highs are definitely high in that film. And you want to know what I was more excited for? The rewatch of Mission Impossible. I was still excited, just not as excited as I would hope to be. But either way, I went in open-minded, hoping for the best, because I'm not a fan of these live-action remakes. And considering this is DreamWorks' first live-action remake and their first live-action production in general, it was pretty much hit or miss. After seeing it, however, this was surprising in a good way. This is probably the best live action remake we've gotten. Like, I hope I'm not overselling it, but in a world where live action remakes have pretty much been moneymakers first and means of creativity second, and granted, there wasn't much expectation that How to Train Your Dragon would be different, but turns out it is. Mainly Dean DeBlue, who has been the man of the franchise, as in he directed the other 3 installments. I feel like his involvement really made this one feel different. And he thankfully maintains the spirit of the 3 preceding films despite being in live action. Him being the writer and director for this film really did help. The trailers made it look like that there would be some things that would change, but they would take the moments from the original and put it here. But in a weird roundabout way, they didn't feel forced. They really did feel like inspired additions and felt like they were paying tribute to the original, which is something that I can't really say about other live action remakes. So I gotta give it up to Dean. You absolutely made this film great, but not only that, the acting was great. I guess we start with Gerard Butler as Stoic. He was the guy who played the original Stoic in the preceding trilogy, so it was like, I guess he's the other guy who's connected to this franchise, so it was really great to see him. But also, Butler is a great actor. Even in a bad film, Butler steals the show, but here he's like channeling his Butler energy to an extreme. It's not in the way that breaks character, and it's not awkward or out of place. I really do feel Butler being here was actually a smart move. Although Jay Baruchel was iconic as Hiccup, I gotta say Mason Thames, you may know him from Black Phone, he absolutely made Hiccup a compelling character. Live action Hiccup is like animated Hiccup in the way that they have the same styles, which could have felt forced, but in a weird roundabout way. Again, Thames does a great job as the character. I'm actually glad that they didn't change his character. And again, live action remake. It was surprising to see how well they adapted Hiccup to live action. Also, Nico Parker did a really strong job as Astrid. Unlike Hiccup, she feels different from her character, but I feel like they improved on it a little bit. America Ferrera was strong in her own right, but I will say Nico Parker's performance as Astrid, I feel, matches it. And shockingly, she's a newcomer to the scene. Like, the only other film I've seen her in was the new Bridget Jones film that went direct to Peacock. Why did it go direct to Peacock? So this is pretty much her breakthrough performance. Nick Frost also did a good job as Gobber. I think the original Gobber was more iconic, but I actually did not recognize it was Nick Frost until they mentioned him in the credits. I was like, Nick Frost is in this film? Probably Gobber. Yeah, I was right. He is so unrecognizable. Nick Frost is a legend, and I feel it's surprising to see him play Gobber, so I was just stunned by it. Oh, and also the side characters, the comedic ones, the original kids who were pretty much annoying in their original form. Thankfully, they're not as, frustratingly annoying here. They are actually a lot more comedic. Julian Dennison has a lot to do with that. Fishlegs is actually a pretty funny character, probably even more memorable than the original. He absolutely did a great job. Bill Pope's cinematography was actually really great. I heard they shot on location in places like Ireland, and that just makes the movie feel more authentic because, let's be honest, green screen is green screen, for lack of a better word. And even though this movie has green screen in a few places, the green screen was less noticeable and less distracting than you would think. And that mainly has to do with how awesome the flying sequences are. Like, the original How to Train Your Dragon movie had incredible flying sequences with the dragons, but I feel this movie matches it, and in terms of the visual style, it was absolutely enhanced by IMAX, and I was pleased by it. So if you're seeing this movie, see it in IMAX, and if you're expecting the flying sequences to be awesome, they will be. It's actually a few minutes after I got done recording the video, but I thought I might as well make a separate segment, not really video, but sound, so image of Toothless probably. CGI is really good. I feel like Toothless is the only one that retains his original cartoony style, but that's the consequences of a live-action remake. At least it's not what they did to other characters outside of Lilo and Stitch, am I right? But yeah, Toothless looked great. Expect the finale to work. Expect John Powell's score to slap. It's absolutely all here. The original was magical. This movie matches the magic that the original had, which was actually something I was not expecting. Didn't feel like the movie was trying to be the original. It tried to be its own thing, despite using a lot of the moments that the original offered. Even though it tries to stay true to the original with a lot of the nitpicks that I had with the original present here, they surprisingly did a lot to improve on it. Like, the original was 90 minutes, this one's 2 hours, and I don't think I felt the runtime that much. It was really something special to see a movie that understands what made the original iconic while also improving on, well, there's nothing to really dislike. It's just wise person here being like, you are not my insert status here. There are a lot of things that they try to improve on, which is really why this movie stands on its own 2 feet. They make enough changes here to make the entire movie feel distinct and make you care about these live-action versions of the character, make them stand on their own. The live-action How to Train Your Dragon was better than anybody expected, and it had no right to be this good. This matches the original. I would still be first to recommend the animated one, but I am happy to say that if you want a live-action remake to be faithful, this is as faithful as it gets. It's easily the best live-action remake I've seen, and I'm interested in seeing how this live-action franchise continues. Again, they announced it too, but the point is, this live-action remake doesn't fall on the double-edged sword that most live-action remakes falls on. On the one hand, you get a remake that does nothing new, does it in a way that feels forced, and on the other end, you make changes that can insult the original. This movie finds that balance, and it absolutely works. Real Authority approves. 10 out of 10. Live-action remakes, beware. This is the standard. That's it for the video. I am absolutely tired. I am recording this at 10 at night. Got back from the early access screening. So yeah, like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and comment if you have a idea for a video. Specifically, what movie do you want me to review, and I'll try to accommodate. I'm going to bed.